It's a lot of simple tips and tricks which actually helped me to develop my concentration and be more focused. You know, based on the current, one second. Yeah, based on the current research, which in America they did a research recently, in which they found, there is a group right now. Whatever age group you are called as millennials, meaning that the anyone from who were born in from the year 2000 or so, you know, so after 2000, so they say them as millenniums, youth millennials. So they found that one out of every four people, three people reported the problem that they have a problem of distraction, that they get distracted very quickly. And 20% of the people, uh, 20% of the people who are working in the companies and all, they all said that they have a huge problem in using of getting distracted with so many different things that are going on. So concentration is actually one of the key things. When you say concentrate, when you go to a store, you get a bottle of liquid. You get a, what do you call it? Like a juice, let's say. It says concentrated. It says 20% concentrated, or it says 40% concentrated, or it says 50% concentrated. So what does it mean? It means that the 40% is actually the original content, and the remaining 60% is actually liquidified, or it just it's not exactly what it should be. So concentration means something that is actually just one thing. Just like when you take a mango juice, I'm sure it's mango season, right? I think it was just a few weeks ago, or during the summer, you might all have had mangoes. The mangoes, when you take, the mangoes, when you actually make the mango juice, if you add more and more water, you actually don't get the actual mango taste, mango flavor, right? So that's what it actually talks about. That means that the mango is a little bit diluted in a way. So if we really want to get the actual substance of the mango, we actually need to make sure it's not diluted. The same thing when we want to focus on something in our life, concentration is necessary. I'll start with a story. This boy Kevlin, there's actually a boy who was from Mexico, in South America. So at the age of 9, I was reading about him yesterday, and I found that at the age of 11, he actually completed 2 degrees. He had like one degree in Bachelor of Science, and he was working on physics, and then he decided that he wanted to get into something, something else. And later on, he was interviewed by NASA. NASA actually called him, and they interviewed him, and they first told, no, no, we can't give you a job. You're too young. But then later on, they called him again and they said, no, no, we want you here. You come back. So he was actually helping in building rockets for NASA. NASA is a space company which actually sends rocket to the space, which sends rockets into the Mars and different places. So he was asked once, so what's your secret? He says that one thing that actually he doesn't like himself to be called is a genius. He said, oh, I don't like myself to be called a genius. He said, all I did was I just concentrated on doing my studies, and I was focused on doing right things. I focused on whatever I was doing at that point of time. So this is a story of Kevlin. I'm sure we all would like to be like Kevlin, right? Who is so bright in his studies and who is so focused. So his secret was, he told, concentration was the secret actually. So what is concentration meaning, and what does it mean actually? Concentration means that you do one thing at a time with complete absorption. Just only one thing. There's no other thoughts, nothing else going on. You just are focused on doing the one thing. Like when I'm trying to shoot an arrow, I make sure that you just try, just like you see in the picture. When you're trying to shoot the arrow, you just look at the target. That's all you do. That's the meaning of concentration. Now let's say, what does, if you break the definition of concentration even more, you can say that concentration means one thing is you withdraw your mind from all the other things and you hold it on one particular thing, and you keep and you do it on that, and you do that one particular activity that you're supposed to do. Like let's say if I am studying a book, just make sure that you're completely absorbed in reading that book at that particular time. Otherwise, what happens? We our how many of you feel, just type in the chat box, how many of you have seen that when you read, you're sitting in front of a book and you're trying to read one page, and then you find that you read the whole page but you didn't understand anything. Did it ever happen to anyone? Feel free to type in the answer there.
Yeah, many are saying yes to me.
Oh yeah.
Many. Yeah.
Okay. So which means that what happened actually, you're reading the book but still you're not able to get it. It happened with me also. It happens with me. It means that although we are physically reading, but our mind is somewhere else. We are occupied with some other thoughts. Now if you look at the amount of thoughts that we have, let's say if you have to rate your thoughts, like let's say tomorrow the exam results are coming and you're also studying a book, what is going to happen? Your mind is actually always going to think, whether I'll pass in the exam, or whether I'll do good, or whether what will happen, I'll be thinking about if I have if I have to play, if I'm thinking of tomorrow the cricket match, you'll be thinking who will win, India will win or Pakistan will win, who will win. So my mind actually is thinking about all these thoughts although I'm studying at that particular time. So if you divide those thoughts and see, which if you rate those thoughts, looking at the thoughts and thinking, which thought actually is the one that's occupying the most of my energy, and you can then later on see whether that thought is useful or useless. If the thought is not useful, then you should know that obviously if something is important, we can't neglect it. Like I said, I'm not feeling well, so probably I will have to work on, I'm have to do something about it. But if some thought is like something that, like like thinking about a cricket match, I mean, how important is that actually in a way right now when you are studying? You can't do anything about it. So that's why do we need to worry about that? So that's the thing. So we need to know, we need to categorize, we need to look at our thoughts. You should know that you are separate from your thoughts. You are not the same as your thoughts, so we our mind, our mind keeps on projecting different image, different thoughts, and different ideas it keeps on proposing. It's not necessary that you need to act on each and every one of them. So that's actually that's how actually you develop concentration, to neglect the thoughts which are actually not important. Is that making sense to everyone? Okay. I'm sure you must have seen this quote so many times, What does that quote read actually? It says that life determines our problems and we determine the size. So this is a very common quote, we see that there's so many problems might be there, whether we look at whether how big is the problem, it depends on how big is the problem depends upon whether we can actually, how big is the problem depends on us actually, how we look at the problem. Let's do an exercise here. Okay, everyone, can you raise your hands? Okay, you raise your hands, right? Now put the hand right in front of your eyes like this, you can see me. Okay, close your eyes and now open your eyes, and now slowly start moving your hand backwards, away from your eyes. Yeah. So what's happening? You see that? You see, when your eyes were closed and you opened your eyes, what was the only thing that you were seeing? The only thing that you are seeing is just your hand itself. You're not seeing anything else. But when you start moving your hand backwards, you start seeing things around you more. You start looking at, oh, there are many other things. There's a wall, there is a tea, there are books, there's so many things you can see. So same way, when there are problems, if we just look at the problems, if just the problem is the only thing that you can look at in your life, then you just get, thinking, oh, there's nothing else that's in the life that's important. But when you take a step back, and when you put the problems in the right place or the perspective, then you know that it's actually not a huge deal. It's not that if I got 2 marks less in my exam, there is something wrong. Or it's not like it has created a huge thing. Obviously, we need to do the needful of making sure that we learn from the mistakes, but we also need to know that that's not the whole and soul thing. Is that making sense? Now you see, you must have heard this phrase so many times by your teachers, right? They say, pay attention. So what does it mean when the teacher is telling you to pay attention? They're actually basically telling you to concentrate. They're telling you, okay, make sure you concentrate. When I'm teaching, just make sure you're concentrating on what I'm saying. Let's do an exercise. Let's see, you see this boy, let's say that someone is sitting in a class, and you are actually kind of, the teacher is telling something, and my mind is going to all the places, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I can play PUBG, or I could, you know, I'm just thinking of what's in my lunchbox, or I'm just thinking about the games period, and you're just in the whole world. And then teacher calls you up, and then she hits a talk at you, and then she's asking you, so what did hey, what did I tell you just now? What did the teacher, what did Chanakya Pandit say or something? She'll ask you a question, and then we are dumb stuff. And then, because although I was physically there in the class, but still I was mentally not there. I was mentally absent. So they say body present, mind absent, like that. So this exercise shows where you are, where your mind is. Now let's look at this simple exercise. Close your eyes. Now think of your school. Where are you now? Don't open your eyes. What do you see? You may see you are with your friends, or you may see you are with your teacher in the classroom. The teacher is writing something on the board, and you're listening. Now open your eyes. Where are you? In home, right? So what does that mean? So you are where your mind is. Now, just by your mind power, you actually were transported to your classroom or to your class. So this is what it means by the power of the mind, or by the power of concentration. You see, by the concentration means with your willpower and your determination. So if you have the right willpower and the determination, it's said that even an ant can actually move things which are bigger than its size. So in a way, we can deal with situations and problems which are even bigger than the which are even bigger than what we can imagine we can do. So this is the power of concentration. I'm sure you must have heard the story of Arjuna from the our Vedic, from the Mahabharata. Arjuna, he was actually one of the greatest archers, actually, one of the best, and he knew what was the power of concentration. So Arjuna, when Drona asked, when his teacher asked him, so he did an exercise when he did an exam. Then the exam, what did he tell them to do? He told, he kept a bird. There was a bird kept in the on the tree, and everyone, all the five brothers were called. Kauravas were called. All of them who were learning from Drona were asked, and they said, okay, now let's see who can shoot that bird. But he said, okay, let's wait. Before shooting, let me. He said, I want to ask you. He first called Yudhishthir. He said, okay, Yudhishthir, what do you see what do you see? Then Yudhishthir said, oh, I see Kauravas, I see my other brothers, I see the tree, I see the bird. I also, I see the bird, and I also see everything else. Then Drona said, okay, you come out. You're not right for, you will not shoot the bird. And then he called Duryodhan. And then he answered the same thing to Duryodhan. And Duryodhan also said the same thing, that, oh yeah, I can see the bird, I can also see the tree, I can see, all the different mountains, I can see different trees, I can see, my brothers and everything like that. Duryodhan, his teacher told him, okay, you also come out, you don't shoot. Like this, he asked all the Kauravas and all the Pandavas were asked. And then later on at the end, Arjuna was called, and Arjuna was asked, so what do you see, Arjuna? Then Arjuna said, I see the bird. Then he asked, do you see anything else? No, I don't see anything else. I just see the bird. And what do you see? He said, I just see the eye of the bird. He says, nothing more. Then he was told, okay, now you shoot. So this is the power of, the story shows that how Arjuna was so focused and concentrated on doing the one thing at a time. Same way in our life when we are, like I gave the example of when I'm trying to read a book, that, our mind goes to so many places. We may read one page and then we may, switch on doing other things. Many times people think that, doing multitasking or doing more things at a time is actually efficient, but it's actually a myth. A myth means, uh, what do you call it? Myth means something that is actually, it's like a cheating, it's like a cheat, which means it doesn't really give any efficiency. Many times people say, oh, if I do more things at a time, then I will be more efficient. But that doesn't happen naturally. That's not the norm. When you actually do one thing with focus and concentration, then you actually get the most productivity out of it. Same way when you are studying a book, if I try to switch like I read 2 pages and I go to another book, I say, oh, today I'm studying math. Let's say just I'll try, oh, I'm not, it's boring, Let what will I do? I'll just keep the book aside. I'll take something else, or I'll do something, and then I go and play a video game, or I go for watching a TV. So in that way, we are getting distracted. Those are all distractions. But we have to be like Arjuna, who was actually so focused, who was so focused on doing the one thing, on just seeing the bird and focus. And that is actually the secret of success. When I was in United States, now I'm in Canada. So I've seen so many people who are, like very brilliant. All of these people who are there, many of them are very super intelligent and super brainy people. So I asked them, what's their secret? They say, oh, we just make sure that we are doing what we need to do. We don't get distracted by other things. We don't work on many things at a time, and they're just focused on doing the thing. So what is the power of focus? Let's see that, what happens actually if you can focus, if we are focused and if the thoughts are not diffused here and there. You see, diffuse thoughts cannot result anything in productivity actually. Anything powerful will not happen by diffuse thoughts. Let's see some examples. You see sun rays, you see the sun and you see the sun rays. When the sun rays fall everywhere, what happens? It's nice, you get some nice, you get a nice feeling of what's happening. You get like pretty good, it will become a little sunny. But just imagine if you were actually right in the presence of the sun, you would actually be burnt in a way. So there's so many, the sun rays are like the diffused sun rays. But if you want concentrated sun, like you can see this example, you have anyone of you ever tried this experiment where you actually are magnifying, using a magnifying glass, you are actually able to burn a paper. You see that? So what does it mean? It means that when you actually not let the thoughts go here and there, but you rather actually let it focus on the right thing, you just make the thoughts focused, then you can actually even burn the paper, the same sun ray that's going on. You see the milk, when you are actually, uh, when you take milk and water, it's actually like dilution. You're diluting it. But on the same milk, when you actually make into yogurt and curd and paneer and then you add water, without water, then what does it mean? There's no dilution. Although the quantity of milk was so much, at the end, we just get a little bit of butter, it's just very little quantity, but that's actually concentrated. So concentration, conviction, discipline, focus, regulation, actually these things are the ones that actually make the butter. The same way we have to get the butter out of the butter when we are actually doing our any activity in our life. In order to be successful, this is actually the secret in life, that you have to learn to focus on doing the right thing, focus on doing one thing at a time, and not get distracted by many other things. That's one of the key things. Now you see, the magnets from the physics. If you just take a normal iron nail and you look at the orientation of all the atoms within the iron, they are all in different directions. So that's why there is no magnetization in that. It can't attract anything. But it's the same. But if you look at a magnet, the orientation of all the uh, atoms or the molecules, they are all in one direction, and they all are going in one direction only. They are not in many different directions. So when you have it only in one direction, then you can actually then the nail actually is magnetized. Then it can attract any other thing. You see, the same way this is the power of focus. When all our energies are focused in one thing, then we'll be able to attract success in our life in a way. So in order to succeed, we have to concentrate. Now here you look at the example of how a leopard is actually like getting the crocodile. Actually, he was so focused on getting what he needed to. The concentration can make one move the mountains. When I was studying here in one of the best universities in the world, it always was a challenge actually. I mean, the kind of problems and the exams you have, it would be like super challenging. There would be so many complicated things, and the answer was not even like, it was not like a normal exam paper where you could actually just write down what you remembered and all. It was actually much more than that. You had to kind of solve it and everything like that. So one thing that it's so easy for us to give up, thinking it's not possible. But when we kept trying, keep focusing on it, just seeing how we can actually work on it, then we were able to see that we're actually able to get the results. Even the difficult things can be done in life. So many times we may be thinking, this subject I can never do well actually. But if you have the discipline and the patience, and if you focus on concentration, then you can even do the tough things in life. So let's look at a video. So you can say here how actually the power of sound or the mantra can actually make a difference in a way in our life. Let's see.
The Vedas, however, are not as well known for presenting historical and scientific knowledge as they are for expounding subtle sciences such as the power of mantras. We all recognize the power of sound itself by its effects, which can be quite dramatic. Here, a high-pitched frequency shatters a drinking glass. So, we can easily understand that loud sounds can produce substantial reactions. It is commonly believed that mantras can carry hidden power, which can in turn produce profound effects. The ancient Vedic literatures are full of descriptions of weapons being called by mantra. For example, many weapons were invoked by mantra during the epic Kurukshetra war, wherein the Bhagavad Gita itself was spoken. The ancient deployment of Brahmastra weapons, equivalent to modern-day nuclear weapons, are described throughout the Vedic literatures. Additionally, mantras carry hidden spiritual power which can produce significant benefits when chanted properly. Indeed, The Vedas themselves are sound vibrations in literary form and carry a profound message. Spiritual disciplines recommend meditational practices such as silent meditation, silent recitation of mantras, and also the verbal repetition of specific mantras out loud. A clinical test of the benefits of mantra chanting was performed on 3 groups of 62 subjects, males and females of average age 25. They chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 25 minutes each day under strict clinical supervision. Results showed that regular chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra reduces stress and depression and helps reduce bad habits and addictions. These results formed a PhD thesis at Florida State University.
Okay, just a minute. Yeah. You see, by constant, you all like the video? So this video actually talks how by the power of, till now we talked about the importance of concentration and how we can, and how important it is to concentrate. First of all, when you understand that there's a need for concentration, and now we will actually try to see how we can avoid distractions and how we can, how Bhagavad Gita actually talks about focus on developing concentration. Okay. So by concentration, we actually can learn to make and gain a vision, mission, and direction in our life. You see, there is no such thing as overnight success or someone who actually became successful just in one night. You look at people who are very successful and you think, wow, I want to be like him. You know, we all want to be like the Bill Gates. We want to be like Narendra Modi. We want to be like Abdul Kalam. You know, I mean, they're all really successful people. But what is it that they did actually? We need to look at that. That's the key. Do we all face a problem of distraction? Do we all feed into distractions by trying to, there's enough of distraction nowadays in terms of mobile phones, in terms of movies, in terms of different things. They say that the average attention span of a person now is actually not more than 2 minutes. So if anything more than 2 minutes in a video or anything, people actually can't look at it, any educational stuff. So that's the average attention span. We just show the attention means you can remember this mantra, where attention goes, energy flows. So wherever you give your attention, that's where our energy will flow. If I give my attention, but if I give my attention in a diversified way, in a diffused way in many things, then my energy is actually not flowing. My energy is flowing in all different directions. And when the energy flows in every other place, then there is nothing that is actually substantial. Just like if we want to burn that paper on a magnifying of the paper, we need to actually make sure that we actually give the complete attention through the magnifying glass. How am I doing on time? Okay, 9:07. So is technology wonderful or miserable? See, technology should always make us a servant. Technology should be a servant for us. It shouldn't make us a servant. It's not that we actually just get distracted by technology. We just get so addicted to it that we're not able to do anything. Now that's why nowadays, they have actually in psychology they have different. There is something called as technologically, like people who actually have the power, they get distracted. For them, there are clinical medicines or clinical doctors who actually give them what to do by which they don't get addicted to different things or don't get distracted. So it's a serious issue actually. So the technology is nice, but technology shouldn't make us a slave of it. It shouldn't allow us to rule over us. You know, that's the thing. It shouldn't make us. Um, it shouldn't make us miserable. Actually, it looks nice, but it can. It shouldn't be like this. You see this? Are we all monkeys, the free monkeys in the forest, who is actually free to do as he likes? Or are we like the slaves, you know, of the technology that's actually like, you know, we are not able to do anything apart from what is being just dictated to us, our whatever the mind and the senses tell, we just keep doing that like that. Let's look at it, you know, how we can actually. So this is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita which actually talks about how regulation in our life will help. You know, sometimes we, you know, if how many of you can say, just type in the chat box, how many of you wake up at a sleep at a certain time every day and wake, or I would say the reverse way, how many of you are not able to wake up at a certain time and sleep at a certain time every day? You know, like every day, let's say you sleep at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, 9:30, and then you wake up at 5 o'clock. Let's say, how many of you are not able to do that? Just answer by saying yes or no, or you can say that no, I every day wake up at a particular time. Just a second. Okay, so it's difficult, right? So that's why we need a regulation in our life. When we actually do things in a regulated way, then we actually can develop more focus in doing things. When the mind doesn't know where to go, then it goes in any way. Like you see this, let's 1 second. So this is the translation. It's the verse says that yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yoga bhavati dukkha. So what does it mean? It means that if I'm regulating the habit of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation, then all the material pains can be mitigated, or all the material pains I can get rid of all the difficulties, because I will have a regulation. So regulation kind of helps us to develop more attention, or I would say concentration. So you see, we look at these five senses. Okay, we have these five senses. Okay, I'll give you an example of, let's say, eyes. We get attracted to going and watching movies, for example. I may be interested, you know, my eyes may say, okay, let's go and watch a movie, or let's go and watch a match, cricket match. Now, can you think of what are the other things the eyes can, let's say, tongue? What will the tongue tell us to do? Just write on the chat box, you know. It can tell us to do something like, okay, I'm not able to see the answers. Let me. Taste. Okay. Yes, tongue will actually tell us to taste different things. It can tell us sometimes to do taste things which are nice, and sometimes it may tell us to taste things which are not good for us. You know, like let's say if I have an exam tomorrow, you know, I'm just giving a different example. Like uh, let's say if I have an exam tomorrow and and I have to study tonight, and let's say my eyes tell, you know, let's go and watch a movie, or, you know, or the tongue says, you know, can we just go to that pizza store which is like 1 hour away, and let's go and have a nice pizza. But then what about the exam? I have an exam to study for tomorrow. I have an exam tomorrow, so we need to make sure that, okay, I need to study, so that's where the senses, they can actually pull us in all different directions. So the Bhagavad Gita gives a decision making framework for our mind. When the mind gets distracted by so many things, so how we can actually make the decision. So the Bhagavad Gita tells us, Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to make the right decisions in life. You see the 5 horses that you see. So you see the person who is the driver, or the person who is the passenger in the chariot, is actually the soul. So our body is compared to this chariot. Okay. The 5 senses that you see, the 5 horses, are actually the 5 senses of eye, seeing, hearing, speaking, smelling, and touching. These are the 5 senses. And the ropes that you see, the ropes, this is actually the mind. Okay. So the senses actually give their input to the mind. They're saying, oh, we want to go and have a nice pizza, or I want to go and watch a movie, or I want to go and play PUBG, or and then they're thinking, yeah, let's go and do that. They tell the mind. But who is the one who is actually holding the mind? It's actually the driver. But who is the driver? The driver is the intelligence. So intelligence, based on the driver, where the driver, let's say the driver says, no, move the horses in this direction. So what will the horses have to do? They have to go in that direction. So if the horses say, no, okay, if the driver says, okay, go in the other direction, then they start going in other direction. Just like when you're driving a car, like let's say you're going with you're taken a Uber or a Ola, and you're supposed to go to some particular destination. You sit in the car and the driver starts driving, and then you say, no, take a right. He takes a left. He says, no, I'm supposed to go that way. Why are you taking me this way? He says, no, I want you to go there. So that's how it can happen actually. So the key is that the intelligence or the driver has to be strong enough to actually resist the temptations what the mind says. Like if the mind says that, okay, mind comes and tells, hi intelligence, my eyes were saying that, we should go and watch a movie tonight, but uh, but what do you think, can I go for watching a movie? They go and ask the intelligence. The intelligence says, hey, so it's a nice idea that you want to go and watch a movie, but don't you think you have an exam tomorrow? You should study for that. That's more important. Watching a movie you can do even later sometime, but right now you study for your exam. That's more important. But then the mind says, but no, but I really want to watch a movie. If I don't watch it, then how will I live? Then if the intelligence is not strong, if it doesn't say, no, okay, don't watch the movie, it's not good for you. If the intelligence is not able to say that, if it's not able to convince him to convince the mind to think that, the studying for the exam is more important than just watching a movie, then what's going to happen? Then the mind will take us everywhere, and then later on when the exam results come and then we don't get good marks, then I will start thinking, I should not have gone through that. How many of you have ever gone through the situations like this where you have seen that you should not have done something which you did it, and then later on you think, oh, why did I do it like that? It was not good for me. Yes, so we all actually go through such situations in our life. So Bhagavad Gita gives a solution for that. You see, the intelligence is the driver, the mind is the ropes, the senses, these are the 5 senses. So the way to control the mind is actually to strengthen the intelligence. When you make the intelligence strong, then the mind will not pull us in anywhere we want. Then we can act. This is the secret for concentration. If you want to really develop more concentration, the key is to actually strengthen your intelligence. And how do you strengthen your intelligence? Intelligence is strengthened by, you see, Bhagavad Gita talks about this. It says that those who are, the Bhagavad Gita gives a verse, it says, Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya paritachetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhauna vidhiyate. This is a focus, this is a verse about determination, where how one can actually be determined in one's life. It says, those who are actually too much attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and are bewildered by such things, the determination for devotional service of Supreme Lord does not take place. So if we want to be determined, we have to actually focus our intelligence. We have to strengthen our intelligence. So you see this water, you see there's a dam actually. So what does the dam represent? The dam has three walls. You see the water is actually controlled so that it doesn't kind of just create havoc. Otherwise it can create a flooding. But when you actually let the water go in a slow way such that the water is coming in a regulated fashion, then you can know that it's actually like then that same water can be used in different places. Then it can be used for agriculture, it can be used in harvesting, and so many things you can use this water in. The same way, if we need to have a dam in our life, we should not let the mind dictate whatever the mind wants us to do. So what is the dam in our life? The dam has three walls. What are the three walls? One is the teachers. Our teachers are actually always telling. That's why we have invigilator in the exam. You see, when you are giving an exam, there's an invigilator. Why is a teacher there invigilating us? Because she wants to make sure, because it's like a wall that actually helps us to be disciplined, that we don't cheat in the exam. And then the second one is our parents. Our parents want us to, what do our parents want us to do? They are actually telling us so many things. Okay, don't do such things. They're not giving us so much independence. You might say, come on, please give me more independence. Why am I like this? But no, actually, by not giving us independence, they are actually kind of protecting us. So that's like a dam for the wall. So when you're preserved by your parents, and when you are when you're protected by your teachers, your parents, and the third wall of the dam is actually God. When we have all these three walls in properly, and we actually live in that way, then we can be like the dam by which the water of our life can actually, or the energy of our life can be utilized in very good ways, and we can be successful in our life. Okay, so you see, so this is actually this talks about resolute in purpose. This is actually the Bhagavad Gita again talking about focus. So vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahushaka hi anantasya buddhayo vyasayinam. Meaning that those who are resolute in purpose, their aim is one, and those are resolute in purpose, and they have their one aim only of actually making sure that you have the right purpose. And but those who are irresolute, those who are actually not so focused on what they want to do, then what happens? Their intelligence, they have many branches. They're not sure about which direction to go. That's what happens. You see, that's what you see. For success, you actually, it's not just about that it just get. I was telling before that it's not just an overnight thing where you can actually be successful just immediately in one day. You'll actually start developing the art of concentration. You have to work on it. Just like how this you see in this person is making sure that he's working hard on it. Actually, when you discipline yourself, when you put your willpower, and when you put the determination in doing the right thing, then you can have the success in life. So anyone whom you see to be successful, you can know for sure that they have actually gone through, they have actually developed, they have a lot of discipline, and they have actually gone through many things, and they have a focus. They are actually developing the right values in life. So we talked about the analogy of the horses, and the how our senses are compared to the how our senses are compared to the horses, and then we talked about the mind as compared to the ropes, and then the driver is the intelligence, and the person who is sitting there is actually the soul, right? So we talked about, if you want to control the mind, the intelligence should be stronger actually. You see, we are one actually, and God is infinity. So we talked about the three dams, three walls to the dam. We talked about teachers, we talked about parents, and then the third wall is actually God. When we add God in our life, then we are actually like connecting with the all source of all energy. It's like we are one and God is infinity. If you want just like a simple example, when you open a tap in the house, you get the water, right? How does the water come? Because it's connected to the, you have in the top of the building, you have a like a storage of water, you're getting the water there, right? So it's the same way. If we want to develop willpower, determination, we want to develop concentration ability, we need to add God into our life. When we add God into our life, then all these positive attributes that we need, they all actually come into us. They all will be natural for us. So this is the main secret, that when we add God in our life, we actually are able to develop the same concentration which Arjuna had actually. Yes, Arjuna had Krishna with him, or Arjuna had God in his life. That's why he's able to do it. So we are one, God is infinity. And 1 plus infinity is infinity. So this connection will give us a self-confidence and strength to say no to bad inputs. If we can have this, then we can actually develop the right attitude of focus and concentration. And we saw the video of that mantra meditation, where actually they were able to, we did the mantras, and the mantras are actually, how many of you know zip files in the computer? I'm sure if you have heard, you must have known. So zip files are something like a small file, but when you click in it, there you can actually compress a lot of information from the computer, and you can save it in one small thing. But when you click on it, it just looks like a small one file, but when you click on it, you get so many information from it. The same way mantra meditation has the ability to actually spiritualize our mind, our intelligence and senses. So when we do that, right now in America, the one of the most how do you say that? How do I say that? One of the most thing that people actually talk about, or 1 in 5 people or 7 people, they are all actually looking to do meditation. Although they are so advanced in everything, they understand that because of all the modern technological situations that one is going through, it's actually causing them a lot of stress. So they all talk about doing meditation to be one of the top priorities. That's, even in the companies, they have something called as mindfulness, where they want to make sure that their employees are having mindfulness. They're developing the spiritual, they're having some spirituality in their life. And even in when people go for interviews, they ask them, previously people used to talk about emotional quotient and intelligence quotient, like how intelligent you are. But right now, that's one of the key things that people ask in the companies when they go for interviews, is they ask, do you have, what's your SQ? SQ means a spiritual quotient. So when they see that you have a spiritual quotient, then they know that you can actually be focused in what you are doing. Because right now they know that the world knows that actually there's so much of distraction, so many things in their life that they can get distracted by. They want to see how much actually people have SQ, spiritual quotient. And spiritual quotient means it comes by mantra meditation, by chanting of mantras. So we should have faith in the power of prayers. Prayers actually help us. When prayers go up, blessings come down. And we can always pray to, we should have faith that our prayers actually will be answered, or our prayers are being answered to some degree or the other. They're always there. They're being answered actually. Okay. So the Bhagavad Gita is actually one of the most important spiritual texts that has been read by many deep thinkers and many important people of this world, including uh, Narendra Modi, Abdul Kalam, and Einstein, Steve Jobs. You talk about Will Smith. If you don't know if you have heard of him, Will Smith is one of the most famous movie actors here. And many people actually have gone to the Bhagavad Gita for actually finding answers to their life. You see, Mahatma Gandhi actually also read it. You know, he said that whenever I have difficulties, I would actually go through the Bhagavad Gita and find something that would actually give me something where I can find a purpose in my life, or it will give me hope and consolation actually. So Bhagavad Gita has different things. It has it's a Sanskrit is actually like the language that everyone likes to. It's being used in computer as well. And this is a mantra that we're talking about. It says Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a mantra that we try to chant and that can actually help. I must appreciate you for that.
Yeah, really, sir.
Okay, so there's one question here from, I don't know who is the person. It says here, how can we overcome the thoughts which we are getting in our minds? You see, we have different kinds of thoughts which keep coming in us. If it's like the thoughts, the mind, the nature of the mind is that the thoughts will always keep coming. It will never happen that the thoughts in the mind will stop. That will never not happen. So the way to actually overcome the thoughts that are coming is actually to replace the negative thoughts with the positive thoughts. So for that, what kind of thoughts you take in? Like, let's say if I every day, if I am playing, every day if I am watching movies, which are like, so much of, what do you call it? There's so much of crime and everything. So many, so many information that you're taking that's not so good. Then naturally my mind will naturally will dwell in that way. It will go in a way where I should, I think negatively. These 2 ears, they are actually the keys. What you put into them. When you put garbage in, garbage will be there inside, and that's what the thoughts will be there. But if you put good in, you'll get good out. So if we want to overcome the thoughts that are actually not so good, you should replace with positive thoughts. And the two ways by which we can do it, one is by meditation, mantra meditation. That's the most powerful and effective way. And the second is by reading the Bhagavad Gita, is by actually participating in the value education contest, is by actually trying to get into the understanding the wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. When you actually replace those thoughts, then we can actually overcome the negative thoughts. Does that make sense? It's not it's not that complicated. We all go through such things, but the key is to put in the right input. When you put the right things, then it will happen. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
No, sir, not as of now. I'm just waiting if somebody asks.
Okay.
Is another question we got. How can we gain positive mental attitude?
How can we gain positive mental attitude? There are two ways. See, if someone wants to do well in his college studies, what do they do actually? Or in his school studies, what do? You should actually be with the topper. You should ask, how do you do actually? What's your secret? How do you study it? Right? So same way when you actually associate with like-minded people, that's where we can actually develop the positive mental attitude. We talked about the mantra meditation. We talked about the reading of the Bhagavad Gita. We also need to have the association. Like when you regularly are attending these kind of sessions, you're actually naturally able to develop the positive mental attitude because you're associating with people who are having those things. The value education contest group, I should appreciate their efforts in organizing these sessions every week for all of you, for your benefit. And you should, if you have a chance, you should even invite others to join in. The key is that you actually need to associate with right people. Have a company of like-minded people. If you want to be a topper, you associate with toppers. And if you want to develop positive mental attitude, you associate with people who have that. And the next one is there's another question that is, how can we avoid any kind of frivolous activities? Okay, I'm getting one more here. Or how can we concentrate on studies and also sports, other circular activities? Let me first answer the first one. How can we avoid any kind of frivolous activities? We have to just say, how do I say that? My answer goes to the same thing of, trying to make sure that we are focused on doing what we are trying to do. Like, let's say, just think about just like we did the thought experiment where you actually kind of rate your thoughts. So before actions comes the thoughts. So it will be nice to actually observe your thoughts and write down. When you write down your thoughts and then you look at them, then what happens is you know which thoughts are important and which are not important. When you know that some thought will actually lead you to some frivolous activity which is not so good, then you can kind of say, okay, I'm not going to do that for now. I'm going to avoid doing that. I'm going to stop it. And obviously the same thing is the practice of mantra meditation, the Bhagavad Gita reading will also help. But to be more practical, write down the thoughts that are coming to you, write down on a paper, and then look at those thoughts and think, do you really want to do those things? Do you really want to do something which will, which will not take us anywhere in a way, which will not help us in anything in our life? So that's a good one to think about. And then how can we concentrate on studies and also on sports, other circular activities, other curricular activities, sorry. Uh, uh, yes, so do concentration means doing one thing at a time. When you are studying, you study, and when you are you're playing sports, you just play that. You don't worry about other things. I had seen in my school days, when I was in school, I had seen many students who were actually really good at sports as well as at studies. I always used to wonder, how are they able to manage being so good at the studies and the same time playing so well in sports? Later on, I came to know that they have a mantra. You can always remember this mantra. Not a mantra. They always had a formula. They kind of told. So what they do is when they are studying, they just they just put their complete attention and concentration on studying. And when they are working, when they are playing, they just focus on that only. They don't do anything else. That requires some practice, but the key is that uh, one one actually adds the spiritual practice in our life. That is what will actually help us to go forward, help us to be more develop that focus and the attention that we all need. So, yes. Anything else? Nice question, Kirti and Anant.
Yeah, that's all from their side. I will also like to show a video on valuation contest. Just give me 1 minute. You all are going to like it.
I humbly suggest every one of you all can try to participate in this and invite your other friends, and to also, if you really want to do good for your friends, suggest them to actually come for this value education, regular every week classes, and get them also to participate in this thing. If you can really care for your friends, then you should do this. It's really good to do. Go ahead.